The Coastal Problem. War Thunder Coastal is a mode that boasts a plethora of unique boats with exquisite models and a diverse array of weapon systems. But alas, they have been swept aside. An enjoyable play experience swept aside by massive ships that everybody desires, but nobody truly plays. Coastal was the pioneering game mode that bestowed War Thunder with a unique twist. However, it now finds itself plagued by a variety of issues. High research costs, high purchase costs, power creep, battle rating compression. They have all conspired to pit players against vessels that can effortlessly obliterate them. This dilemma is further exacerbated by alterations to damage models and the introduction of new sea states. Some of these once mighty vessels have become utterly unplayable, rendering them useless unless the stars aligned and conditions are perfect. Consequently, we're witnessing a compounding problem of dwindling player numbers and new recruits unable to break through this glass ceiling to experience the thrill of the top tier vessels. So what can be done? Is the boat destined to sink beneath the waves of neglect? Or is there still hope for War Thunder Coastal? Join me as we delve into the heart of the matter, seeking a solution to ensure that the waves of change do not drown the spirit of naval warfare in War Thunder. I'm no expert in game design, but I know that for a game to be successful, it needs to be fun, and it needs to give players agency, give them the feeling that they can make a difference in the battle, or that they're actually having an impact, rather than being just some player-controlled bot to be farmed by players who already have the experience and already have the vessels, who've skipped the hard parts. The redesign of the tech tree really did make it harder for people to get into Coastal. The old previous tech tree was better because it forced you to play Coastal before you could branch into the other larger warships, forcing you to learn a bit before you became sea captain from hell in your large destroyer or cruiser. While naval history is prolific, in the mainstream media and stories, most people only know about the fights of the submarines and the U-boats and the big battleships and the clashes of the Titans. They forget that a navy is built from the bottom up, starting with the smallest of vessels, each having its own unique role within the fleet, which together make the strength of a navy. A capital ship is nothing without the pickets and the tenders, the escorts. All of that works together to make a navy what it is. Last year's roadmap that Gaijin released was a great step in the right direction. It addressed things across all game modes that really needed to be fixed. There is a long way to go, and Gaijin have released another roadmap, but sadly, Naval was completely forgotten in this aspect. So what can be done? One potential solution to address the issue of high research and purchase costs is to introduce more accessible entry-level boats and adjust the economy to make progression smoother for players. Additionally, we need to revisit the matchmaking system to alleviate the problem of power creep and BR compression. This could involve recalibrating vehicle BRs or implement a stricter matchmaking rule to ensure a fairer playing field. Instead of a 1 BR spread, perhaps a 0.7 BR spread. I think refining the damage models and addressing the inconsistencies in how different vessels perform in various sea states would greatly improve the overall gameplay experience. It's frustrating to invest time and effort into mastering a boat only to find it practically unusable in certain conditions. Consistency is the key to maintaining player engagement. Another aspect to consider is expanding the variety of objectives and mission types in coastal battles. Introducing dynamic scenarios and objectives could add depth to the gameplay and keep players coming back for more. If U-boats and submarines are ever added to War Thunder, then some coastal boats would see more use due to the fact that they have that niche role of being a sub-chaser or arm for such warfare. However, that is a different topic altogether. In regards to Coastal, perhaps we could have dedicated Coastal game mode, where those people that just want to deal with ships of their class and maybe one class higher, fight there. Maybe have some river assault type maps, where boats are in the brown water, fighting up a river, trying to capture objectives, fighting against ground targets. My Discord and the guys on our Discord have experimented with such fights, and coastal boats are actually quite enjoyable to play against ground forces and some helis. For me, this issue was really highlighted this week when I was asked to go back and visit some of the Russian riverboats and some of the other early mid-tier boats which I haven't played, or I haven't played in years because I'm way past that. And I went back and I chose some of my favorite ships, and I had a terrible time. I mean, there was very little my skill or experience could do to make the game better. And I feel for you guys that haven't experienced the top tier stuff or moved on to the stronger stuff, because it was murderous. Point blank, I could not hit anything. So I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what we can do about it, and perhaps we should start our own little petition. I know we're a smaller minority within the War Thunder community, but we still have a voice. So what I'm going to do now is I'll leave you with some of the gameplay from one of my favorite boats in the game. So anyway, well, let's jump in. Ahoy, welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing some of the mid-tier Russian riverboats. Now, the Russian riverboats were mainly designed in the 1930s, and their design didn't change at all over the next 30 years. But it wasn't until the 1960s, when the missile age really kicked off, that the Russians realized they sort of needed to mix up their doctrine a bit. So they designed the Project 1204. I believe it was called the Schmel. The Schmel, yes. Anyway, it's primarily a river and lake boat. It can handle choppy waters. It has a very low draft and narrow beam, but it has a lot of firepower. It's got the PT-76 turret. It's got 225mm on the stern. It's got the BM-14 rocket launcher with 17 rockets. And they were mainly used to... Their design was really to help with pushes on the ground by attacking emplacements up a river or along a lake, and defending the entrance to harbors where they could drop mines in riverways. They carry a crew of about 14 sailors and officers, featured about a stern length of about 90 feet with a beam of 14 feet. I believe they could reach 24 knots, and their range was about 320 nautical miles, so they are very much a literal boat. 2.7 is the place where coastal boats really start to suffer, because they get maps like this one, where the water is just a little bit choppy. It's not so bad for the Project 1204, because it does handle okay, having a decent speed and able to ride through the waves. But the other riverboats, with their narrow beam and slow acceleration, really do suffer in the choppy waters. Like, you really have to angle yourself into the waves, and you'll see how bumpy it gets there. If you go across the waves, it becomes even harder because your boat rolls. Well, we're just going to reverse up here and see if we can catch this small Russian torpedo boat that was heading out towards the cap. And I honestly don't worry about the 76mm gun on this, because it is very hard to hit at anything over 3 kilometers, especially on small targets in choppy waves. If you get some of the maps like the port map, where there's heaps of cargo ships and it's relatively still all the time, that's a great map for this boat and the other rivers. Trying to get some hits with the BM-17, but just how much we're pitching up and down threw off that aim significantly. And it doesn't get any better when you stop. Sometimes it's better to be moving through the waves. We only have 4 actual human players on my team. Just trying to empty out the magazine here. I don't want to go into battle with a half-empty magazine. Reloaded just in time. S100 will take him out. So less than a kilometer, you can pretty much hit them. That's great. Less than a kilometer. But beyond that, you really do get lots and lots of wiggle. Try and get some hits out here, but it's really just spray and pray. Oh, what? We've got a G5 or something coming in close. Project 123. Turn away, drop mines. He's dropped torpedoes, but too late for that. He's been taken out by one of my allies. It's one of the rare occasions where you should turn away from a torpedo strike, trying to increase the time it takes for them to get to you. Most of the time, turning towards a torpedo is the best course of action. Alright, now we're in some trouble. I believe that's a Russian sub-chaser. One of the MPKs. Empty out that magazine again. I'm going to try and come around and capture that alpha point before that sub-chaser gets there. And you'll see that I just exclusively use the 25mm gun. It is a fantastic weapon. I may use the 76mm if we get close enough to that sub-chaser to get a good firing angle. Yeah, look at the up and down the stream of bullets go. When I used to play this boat, it was always flat. And it was murderous. This thing was fantastic. It's also fitted with grenade launchers, believe it or not, but I rarely get close enough to use them. And they are bound to the tertiary, or the AA key, so you have to change, have to press Alt 3 to switch to those. And most of the time it's just not convenient to do. So yeah, normally I'd have great hits here, but can't quite get the nose to stop pitching. And that one's going way too high. And so the smaller your boat... Oh, we got a massive hit there to the bridge. That was more luck than anything. The smaller your boat, the less stable you are. The narrower the beam, the less stable you are. So the small coastal boats really do suffer in rough seas. And the lack of players to kill means that you rarely get a lot of RP. We need to back up or that guy's going to toast us. He's took out the 76mm turret. It's great English. Try and get some hits on this guy with the main turret. The 25mm being so far back on the stern has pretty good angle. 270-degree angle, if not more. Usually I run all AP with this belt, but in this case we're running mixed belt. Alright, we've captured the zone. We'll try and reload some of our rockets. We'll drop some mines here to make it more dangerous. More dangerous for us by the look of it. One of those mines going off prematurely. Fortunately, you can't kill yourself. Alright, we're going to have to make a move from here. The main turret's opened up on an aircraft. The shell on the main gun, the 76mm, is fairly competent. And it's fun to use against ground forces in a custom match. I would love to see a river attack mode, where you've got to slowly make your way up a river, taking out emplacements and defenses. Sort of like a PvE mode. That would be a lot of fun. Is there any map makers out there? If there's an idea, make a map like that and I'll feature it. Lucky hit there on the PT. Oh, Subchaser's back with a vengeance. Absolutely destroying us, the MPK-163 with his 85mm main gun. Coming back in the lag. This one has, I believe, a 37mm in the nose. I think it's 37. Running AP in Naval, you can get lucky, you can hit pretty squishy bits inside destroyers. And if you come in at the right angle, you can do a lot of damage. I like to try and aim for the engine rooms and the bridge. So, Fronzy, let's have a shot. Oh, good hit there. Minimal damage because there's only a crew compartment here. Open up, turn away. Shell shattering on the side of the destroyer. Small amount of crew damage. He's not focused on us, so we may come around for another path. I always overcommit on my second pass though. Always get too greedy. Come on, one more, one more, one more. Yeah, see? Told you I get too greedy. Well, it looks like we're going to win. But I don't feel like I really did much besides capturing that one zone. And I feel like that's the way it goes a lot of the time with these low to mid-tier coastal boats. This is probably one of the better examples. There are a few others, and I may get the guys together just to show you an example of the ones that are really not playable anymore. Like the Zippo is one example of a boat that is almost impossible to play unless you have a friend to tow you around. And if you don't get the right map, then you just, yeah, it's purely luck-based boat. And that doesn't make for good gameplay. And the luck is stacked heavily against you. This is the early model, and it's at 2.3. And I actually prefer this one because the battle rating is better, so you tend to get the closed water boats maps. And it has the 13mm gun on the back, which I find to be really good with AP rounds. I think it has AP IT rounds. But you're missing the rocket launcher and you're missing the grenade launcher systems. But for a better battle rating, I think it's worth it. Unfortunately, this one is premium. So how did we go? 3,000 RP out of 1 million that I need to get on to the next boat.